This video is about my top 5 favorite shots of 2018. "2018 has been a great year for me. It all started in January when I got my new camera, a Sony a6500, and that same month my friend Chase, who I met in the US, came to visit me here in Paris. He stayed 3 weeks in this apartment and it was a great time for us to catch up and create together. Then he flew back home and I flew to Australia for what would be a 5-month stay. I had the greatest time there. I started shooting a lot more, especially landscape, some of which you will see in this top 5. Fast forward to July, it's time for me to move home. When I moved back to France, it's summertime here, and my family and my friends took a trip down to the south of France. And after that, it's not as glorious. It's September and I go back to school. So I made this video to show you my top 5 favorite shots, not only because they're pretty images, but to what they mean to me, to the context in which I shot them, and what they taught me also. So I hope you'll like them. So let's get right into it with the first photo. This one was taken in Bondi Beach on a photo shoot with my friend Mish, who is a yoga instructor based in Sydney. Yeah, I particularly love this one because I think it captures really well her connection to the environment, to the ocean, and to Earth in general. We shot that one at sunrise and we were blessed with a really good natural light. That light really brings out the shadows and all the textures from the water, the sand and everything, so I think that's why it works so well. To be fair on this one, most of the job was done by Mish though. I remember trying to get these shots and it took quite a few attempts before we find the shot that we were happy with. So I remember her being freezing. She took a few waves before it worked out, and she had sand everywhere and everything, so most of the work was done by her. Mish, if you're watching this, shout out to you for this shot. So I think my take out on this one is try to collaborate with people that are as passionate and as dedicated as you are. I think why that shot particularly worked well is because we had such a good connection together. I think it's important to really know your subject, to know the person you're collaborating with. Try to get to know them, make them feel comfortable, and when you have this good relationship going on, it really shows in the picture. So yeah, that would be my take on this one. So for this next one, this one was taken in Biarritz, which is a city in the southwest of France. Yeah, I really like this shot for the colors it has. It has those warm tones, and just looking at it just makes me warmer now that it's freezing cold here in Paris in December. I remember getting this shot and I really wanted to show the details in the sky, so I couldn't really expose correctly the people in this shot, the subject, because if I did that, the sky and the colors would be completely overexposed and blown out. I remember also getting low on the ground. When you get a low angle like that looking up, not only gives a sense of like the subject being taller and more powerful, but also in here I just wanted to get more clouds and more of the sky in the shot. One of the takeout on this one is shoot at the right time, because I remember being all day at the beach that day, and it was really busy most of the day. The sun was high in the sky, so the light was too bright. And at the time we were about to leave and head to the car, I remember the sun setting, and then all of a sudden these colors popped out, and the clouds, as you can see, look these orange, pink, purple tones. So I stayed for a little bit longer, and at that time the beach cleared out. There was no one on the beach except those 2 swimmers. And yeah, that takeout on this one is shoot at the right time, because you wouldn't have gotten this opportunity to get such good colors at any other time of day but for sunset. Moving on to the next one, and yeah, this one taught me a good lesson. That was back in July. I was on a road trip with my dad. This shot was taken in Noosa Heads in Australia, and we got to Noosa and we wanted to visit the national park, but when we got there we quickly realized there was no parking spots available. So we had to tour around the city, try to find a spot, and you know, parking with a big van is not the easiest thing. So we actually found parking on the other side of town. We still decided to go to the place. So we hiked about 20 minutes to get there, and we entered the national park. We take the coastal path, takes you on a walk by the beach in the forest, and it's starting looking really pretty, you know, pictures of opportunities left and right. And I get to this spot and I see it perfectly framed. You see the trees and the leaves on the side, on each side, perfectly framing this surfer. So I go out to take my camera, I take my big backpack off, and everything is really organized in my camera bag. You know, I know where everything goes, and when I go to reach for my camera, there's nothing there. And I quickly realized I forgot my camera in the van, and I was mad, like really mad at myself. But instead of not shooting at all because I forgot my main camera, I took out my GoPro and took a photo. It wasn't in my head at the time taking a photo to publish it or to sell it or anything. It was more just to get a good souvenir, a good memory of it. But when I actually put it in my computer and started editing it, I realized it wasn't a bad picture at all. So that's what it taught me. If your camera breaks down, if you're out of battery, SD card, it doesn't mean you should stop shooting. Use your second camera, use your GoPro or your iPhone. I've seen great photos from iPhone. Yeah, it doesn't mean if the gear is not working, just try to shoot with something else, and you never know how it might come out. So for this next one, this one is a picture of jazz in the north part of France, in Etretat. And most of my photography is kind of on-the-go shooting. So I go somewhere, I take a few photos, I visit places. I never take the time to actually set up a shot. And this one was quite the opposite. We actually set up the shot. We came with the intention of creating this scene. We brought the basket, the blanket, she chose dress for it. So it was really intentional. Yeah, this one taught me to actually sometimes plan out the shoot, think about what outfit you want your subject to wear, what props you want to bring on the shoot. That's something I want to get to do more often actually, because it was really fun. She changed dresses a couple of times, tried different outfits. It worked pretty good. And the last thing about this photo is get away from the crowds. And how do you get to do that in such a popular spot? The Etretat Cliffs is a really popular spot in France, and we had to wake up early and shoot sunrise that morning and sunset the same night. That's the only way to get away from the crowds, really. Shoot at time of day when people are eating, when people are sleeping, when people are doing something else than taking photos. That's how we got this scenery with completely empty, no one on the frame, and that really makes a difference, you know. And coming to our last one. Yes, this one was of the Great Ocean Road in Victoria, Australia, and it was taken with a drone. I really like this one because of the scenery. Obviously, this coastline is perfect. You get to see the 12 apostles, which are those rocks sticking out of the water by the coast. And I also wanted to capture the road on this. This was really important to me to make the viewer realize how close, if you take a road trip down the coast, that's how close from the coast you get. So that was really important to me, to get the road on the right hand side here. I actually took a lot of risk for this photo. It was a really windy day. It was probably the worst conditions that I ever flew a drone with. The wind was blasting coming out from the ocean to the coast, and the drone was just shaking around, just moving. No GPS, so it was really moving around. I just had those 5 minutes to take this shot, and I'm really happy how it came out. If there is one thing I got out of that, is sometimes you gotta risk the gear, you know. Gear is what is most important to us photographers, what we value the most, especially drones that cost up to $1,000 or $2,000. But sometimes you gotta risk it. You know, if you don't risk it, you'll never get the shot that people don't often get. So yeah, that's my take on this one. And that's it. Those were the 5 photos that I've gotten this year that really stand out to me. There is one last message that I want to give out to you guys. I am starting something that I've been wanting to start for a long time. I am now selling my prints and my frames. You can see on my website all the photos that are up for sale. If you don't know where to start, well, maybe one of those 5 photos would be a good place to start. You can DM me or send me an email or whatever. Just contact me if you need any details. And yeah, I'll see you soon.